Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League Matchday 1. We've selected the best 9 games in this new Europa League, also with a new format as we learned from the Champions League last week. And since we were very successful, we have Alvaro Romeo with us, another ACCA in La Liga. Alvaro, hello.
It is happening. Hello.
It is happening, and we have Alain Valnegri, expert in Turkish football right now, even in Istanbul. I'm sure you enjoyed the derby, Fenerbahce Galatasaray.
Yes, no, it was a good game. It was a good game, and we will be checked this week see if the Turkish club can have better results, because we remember Turkish football doesn't have a club in Champions.
Yes, they lost in the playoffs, so a lot of good games to analyze. Roma Athletic as a highlight, so come with us. Remember to leave your comments. Of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And the first stop is going to be Dynamo Kyiv, Lazio. Remember that in this new format, this week at least, we have Europa League on Wednesday and on Thursday. This one is going to be played on Wednesday. And we have this season a new Lazio under Baroni without 𝐬𝐿𝐴, and they are not taking off yet. Lost to Fiorentina, lost this season both away games, and now they are playing against Dynamo Kyiv, top of the Ukrainian league. But Alvaro, one of these teams that couldn't make it to the Champions League, they lost to Salzburg in the playoff, and last time we saw them in the Europa League in 2022, they were so poor, only 1 point. Are they better?
I don't think they are much better, to be honest with you. I think that whenever they find or they encounter tough opposition, they tend to drop points or lose if it happens to be a tie. It's true that I always say the same thing, but we have to take into consideration that these sides, the Ukrainian sides, they are performing under very difficult conditions. And of course, I'm sure that they have football in their mind, but maybe not football is there in the top of their priority list. RB Salzburg did them. And now let's see how Dynamo Kyiv can perform under Oleksandr Sovkovsky. We have to remember that Yarmolenko, for example, is still there. He's the top scorer of the season for them. That, this is a side that doesn't lose necessarily a lot of games at home. In fact, this season they have suffered only 2 defeats in their own ground. One happened it happened at the start of the year against Balkany. And the other one, it happened already against Salzburg. But all that said, I think Lazio is better. And I know that Lazio lost to Fiorentina. It was the first win of the season for the Viola. Lazio has a group of players who are very competent, I would say. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐳 is gone, as we all know. The goalkeeper 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗲 is very good. He did a terrific save yesterday in the game against Fiorentina. And, some players, like, for example, Mario 𝐜𝐵, the other day against Fiorentina as well, they scored their first ever Serie A goal. But still, I believe that Lazio is better, and I think that they may grind something here. All that said, I only back a team to win when I am totally sure that they are going to do it. And with Lazio here, I can see them favorites, but also maybe dropping points, a draw. So I'm going to go for both teams to score. I think that both teams have the capacity to score goals, and that pays 175, and I like this bet.
Well, in the Champions League, we saw Shakhtar Bologna, and we didn't trust Bologna with really low odds. And at the end, Shakhtar drew, and even they missed a penalty. Do you like so far this new Lazio under Baroni, Alain?
It's soon. We saw 2 versions. One at home, very strong. They play a football more direct respect to the era Sarri, with Boulaïdia entered really well in the squad, but Tati Castellano is injured. I want to know and I want to understand the version and the identity away, because in both games, in Udine and in Florence, we miss something with the personality, with the management of the results. And I think Lazio miss experience. They have player, yes, but without 𝐬𝐿, without Luis Alberto, they lose probably his best player in the last 5-6 seasons. And Baroni is a new challenge for him, because Baroni was or had the habit to manage team who was playing against relegation. And that one now play every 3 days. I have a lot of doubt with that Lazio. For that reason, I choose Dynamo Kyiv double opportunity 1x odds 1.86.
Okay, let me know your comments. We have our Ukrainian friend Andriyo. So tell me, how good is this Dynamo Kyiv? Now he's saying actually double chance as well for Dynamo Kyiv. Next game is a good one. Galatasaray, PAOK, or Turkish champions against Greek champions. None of these countries have Champions League teams because both lost in the playoffs. Galatasaray lost to Young Boys, PAOK to Malmo. So a big disappointment in Europe. In the league, they are doing good. Actually, both are top of their leagues. And especially, Alain, we had the big game against Fenerbahce this weekend. We saw the connection, Osimhen, Mertens, old Napoli connection.
But the offensive power of Galatasaray in the top 5 league in Europe, not a lot of teams have that quality. Because when do you have like a striker, Icardi and Osimhen? If we take the example of Serie A, how many teams have best attack? I don't see a lot. After you said Mertens, it's true. Galatasaray lose 𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐻. He went to Benfica, but I think Sara is a very good new signing. Galatasaray start really bad the season because they lose 5-0 the Super Cup against Besiktas. But after that, the average of goals scored per game is amazing. It's minimal 3 goals per game for Galatasaray. And there will be meet a team with a really high average of goal like PAOK. Because PAOK is the actually champion in Greece. We know the rivalry between Turkish and Greek team. This one is a big game. In my opinion, we will be see a lot of goals. I choose the goal market over 2.75 goals on 1.73.
Perhaps it's a good game also to go for cards. Thessaloniki is not that far from Istanbul, a city that Alvaro knows very well, and they've started the season quite well in the league. Apart from a goalless draw against Panathinaikos, they've won all the games, but I guess Alvaro was a huge disappointment losing to Malmo in the Champions League playoff.
Yeah, this is not the first time that PAOK doesn't do it well in the Champions League playoff. It's true that previously they had been unlucky. They played against Benfica. They also played against Ajax. But this time, maybe they could have grinded a little bit more out of that playoff tie. All that said, I think that in Thessaloniki, they are chuffed with the fact that they have won 2 league titles in 5 years, considering that Olympiacos is a big force in Greece. But, you know, the new Super League format gives you the chance to win the league despite not winning the regular season. It's a little bit like an NBA one. So PAOK was tremendously benefited by the fact that they weren't champions in spring, but then they were champions in summer because there was a playoff, and then they were in a better form than anybody else in May. And also Olympiacos was quite focused on the Conference League. So, you know, it's a good moment for PAOK. The manager is Radvan Lucescu. He's not very contested in there. They topped the Super League, yes, but they haven't had the toughest calendar. And they've got a couple of players that, new additions, that they are doing decently. One of them is Tyson, a footballer that they really like, former Shakhtar Donetsk. But anyway, what can we say about Galatasaray? I mean, their striking power is, Alain has broken it down very well. It's formidable. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐻, also another player who hasn't been mentioned yet, has scored 3 goals already. They top the league. They have gotten every point, and they have beaten Fenerbahce too as well. So it's a good moment for them. So, I am in between Galatasaray winning or handicapping positively PAOK. I think that I'm going to move myself between these two parameters. And maybe I stay with an ace and handicap plus 1.25 for PAOK, because PAOK defensively is pretty decent as well, but I think Galatasaray can win it. So that could pay 168, and it doesn't mean necessarily that Galatasaray is not going to win it.
Okay, we have a couple of comments going for Galatasaray win and both teams to score. Everything can happen actually, a 2-1, 3-2, and you get all your bets. Probably in this one is good to check also, as I said before, the cards market. If we see a hot game, one of the big favorites to win the trophy is Man United, together with Tottenham right now, the lowest odds to win the title. Early days, of course, and not the best start in the Premier League. Drew again at the weekend against Crystal Palace. They had many chances, especially Garnacho, but 7 points is not a good tally. Probably we have also to highlight, Alvaro, the role of Onana. Last season, there were many jokes about the goalkeeper, but he's done massive saves lately, 3 consecutive clean sheets for Man United, if you want to see the grass greener. And Twente, another team that couldn't win in the Champions League playoff. They lost to Salzburg.
They did. Yes. They did lose to Salzburg, and that was disappointing for them, obviously. But I could have expected them losing to Salzburg, to be honest, because Twente, at the end of the day, they finished third in the Eredivisie last year. We cannot forget the elephant in the room, the fact that Ajax was so bad at the start of the season that gave a chance to the likes of Twente. But anyway, I think Manchester United has to be the favorite here. The odds prove that, obviously. Manchester United to win, it's on the screen, 134. Even though I haven't been surprised or amazed by Manchester United at all. At the end of the day, Manchester United is a team that last season, yes, they won the FA Cup, but on the other hand, they finished the season with a negative goal difference, which tells you a lot. I mean, a top side should never finish a season with a negative goal difference. But against Crystal Palace the other day, they played well in the first half. It's true that in the second half they conceded chances, and Onana had to step up and do a few incredible saves. But Manchester United created the chances, and I think that Erik ten Hag said that they ate Crystal Palace alive in the first half, and it's true. But they didn't score. Why they didn't score? Because Manchester United hasn't had good scorers for a very long time. Cristiano Ronaldo was the last good scorer they had. But if you look at the numbers of Manchester United over the last 20 years, you will see that they haven't had a player who has scored over 20 goals in the league since Robin van Persie in 2012-2013. Right now, 𝐻𝐿, the Dutch footballer, is work in progress. Rasmus Højlund, the footballer who is back from injury, is still work in progress for me. Garnacho, he has problems with his finishing. He misfires a lot. Same thing applies to Amad Diallo. Marcus Rashford is striky, meaning that sometimes he's very good and sometimes he doesn't score a goal in 2 months. So this is the main problem of Manchester United for me, other than the manager, is the quality of the footballers, despite having done such a heavy investment. A bit of trivia, by the way, Erik ten Hag spent 23 years working for Twente in different capacities. And, the most dangerous footballer that Twente has right now is the top scorer of the Eredivisie, Stein. All that said, I'm going to back Manchester United here. I think they are going to win it, finally. But obviously, since the money for them to win is not that good, I'm going to back them to win the second half. That pays 160.
Well, they need a catchy result as the one they got in the League Cup against Burnley. Also, Alain, perhaps this new format of the Europa League make big teams like Man United taking the competition more seriously, because they have tough games. I was checking the schedule, and after this, Man United, they are traveling to Porto and to Istanbul to play Fenerbahce. So they have to give more than in the previous group stage that it was almost certain that they will qualify.
But Man United is still search an identity, especially with the ball. Because actually, Manchester United, when I must to analyze how Manchester United attack. When Manchester United can run, Manchester United is really limited. And it's strange to say that with Ten Hag in the bench, because a former manager from Ajax have problem for the attack, positional attack. Where is the problem? The mentality, the player. Where is the problem? Is a team can spend a lot of money in every market, but the things are not well right now. What is the project in change? Twente is a really serious project, but in the collective way. Twente is few years they're known how they wanna play. Is a really Dutch football. Is a team can play with attack positional with a lot of quality in collective way, and is a team can attack you in transition. And this game is dangerous for Man United, because you saw the game Manchester United 20. Everybody said, okay, it's easy for Manchester United. Warning, because Twente is a special game for Twente. How many players do you know from Twente with maybe 100 games in Eredivisie and 25 games in Europe? Nobody. Maybe Lammers, okay, because last season in Utrecht he started to score after a few years. Difficult for Lammers. But I see Twente scoring in Old Trafford, because Man United in transition they suffer a lot when they found team with a transition really direct to the goal. They suffer. For that reason, I choose both teams to score. Odds 1.91.
Okay, Arthur is going for under goals for Twente. Man United will smoke Twente at home. Scars is telling us. And on Wednesday, we've chosen another game, Nice Real Sociedad. A good one in the Allianz Rivière. Nice smashed Saint Etienne 8-0 on Friday, but their start of the season haven't been good. 4 years later, they come back to the Europa League, and Real Sociedad also, Alain, a very poor start. They are not scoring goals, only 5 points. In La Liga, they weren't able to beat Valladolid at the weekend. How do you see this one?
Real Sociedad is one of the biggest mystery from the beginning of the season in the top 5. How is not running? I think Alvaro can give more information than me. For Nice is a new project. Their path to a football really positional, to a football in transition. How many times there will be have the concept to produce the football like as in the bench is the biggest question. I think the last game against Saint Etienne can't give us the identity of Nice, and Nice start really his project. This game is really important for Nice to understand against a team who wants the ball, if Nice can be dangerous in transition, because this team has inside him the football with positional attack when they want the possession. Real Sociedad quit you the possession. I am pretty sure. And for that reason, I think Nice is true. They have Mofi and Laborde in attack injured, and that one can be have an influence. In spite of that, first, Real Sociedad must to react, because Imanol start to be a risk. And Nice at home after his birthday, after the game of against Saint Etienne, I saw score. I choose over 175 goals. The odds are pretty good. Odds 1.56.
Let's see if Real Sociedad are able to score a goal because we are seeing a big drought. Alvaro, what are the problems they are having? Okay, they lost Merino in summer, but they have a big problem, a big issue with the goals.
They do. And I think Real Sociedad has been concerning at the start of the season. Not that they are going to be battling to avoid relegation. I don't think so. But, there are a number of worrying signs. Number one for me is the fact that important players left or are injured. Talking about Lenormand, Merino, Barrenechea, Bryce, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. Luckily, 𝐬𝐿𝐵 could play a little bit against Valladolid. But the footballers who came to Real Sociedad either to strengthen the squad depth or to start, they haven't provided anything. I'm talking about Becker, Óscarsson, Sadik. Let's see if 𝐜𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 can fill the boots of Lenormand. Let's see if 𝗀𝗏 is the good player that we thought he was against the Real Madrid 2 weeks ago when he played very, very well there. But the new footballers haven't actually improved the backbone of the team. Real Sociedad is still tremendously reliant on Remiro, Zubimendi, 𝐬𝐿𝐵, and probably Bryce Méndez at a lesser extent. So, in my opinion, the problem has been that the renovation that the team has undergone, hasn't been completed and hasn't been perfect. New footballers have to step up. That's the most important thing. And on top of that, maybe Manol's message, it doesn't reach the player's mind as well as it did 2 years ago when Imanol signed a contract extension. He's been there for a very long time already. It looks to me like Real Sociedad needs a reset. I don't know if that reset means exactly bringing in a new manager, or I hope not, by the way, or maybe start getting good results in Europe, because last season, for example, the Champions League playing in Europe was good for Real Sociedad's overall confidence. But, in the last 12 months, Real Sociedad has become a worse team. 12 months ago, they were beating Benfica, they were beating Salzburg, they were staying tremendously competitive in Europe, and 12 months later, Real Sociedad is a side with no firepower, and they are not as cynical as they were before. They don't interrupt the game the way they interrupted it before. Then up front, they are not efficient. So, everything is worse than a year ago. And they're playing against Nice. Nice scored the other day 8, with Moukoko, for example, scoring a brace. But rather than that result, I'm going to focus more on what Nice has been over the last 12 months as well. They've been one of the best defenses in France. Last season, they conceded 29 goals only. And I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game, even though the odds for a low-scoring game are too low, in my opinion. So I have to explore another market, and I'm going to back Real Sociedad slightly. Maybe they get a draw here because they will try to snatch a point. Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Real Sociedad, 183. Otherwise, for me, this game is a pass, because Real Sociedad in La Liga is like the rest of the teams. They got the hang of them. They know how to play against them. Maybe in Europe, Real Sociedad can surprise a few, but that is still to be seen.
Well, everyone is going for an under in this game. We have Tony, we have Mimi, we have Intrepid, we have Ruat, all going for under in this game. Of course, Real Sociedad only 3 goals scored this season so far. So obviously you should check the under market. Exactly. So far, so poor. Even if, for example, against Real Madrid, we saw them having so many chances and hitting the woodwork 3 times, but they couldn't score. Let's move to the games we have on Thursday. First one, the special one, playing the Europa League. Fenerbahce, Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. As we said, Fenerbahce lost the derby to Galatasaray, also one of the teams that dropped from the Champions League preview, in this case lost to Lille. In the extra time, a lot of quality in the squad, all rock and roll guys, Tadic, Dzeko, Fred, Saint-Maximin. They are not very young, they are not promising stars, but with a good back in their shoulders. And Royal Union Saint-Gilloise, Alvaro, they surprised us a couple of seasons ago in the Europa League, but they haven't started well the season. Lost to Slavia Prague also in the Champions League preview. They haven't scored in the last 4 games.
Yeah, and it looks like they cannot win either. In the league, they've got only 10 points. They played 8 games and they drew 4 of them. They lost another 2. It's not the best moment for them. This weekend, they couldn't score either, as you said. So, maybe the focus is on Mourinho coming back to the European stage, this time being the manager of Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce to win 162 sounds to me like a decent bet, even though I could up it to Fenerbahce to win and over 1.5 goals in the game. I can see that happening as well. 190. Mourinho sides tend to be a little bit bullish to the point of flag track bullying against the sides that are lesser than them. And then when it comes to the big games or the games in which the forces are very level, they tend to be more speculative. We know about Jose Mourinho, good enough. He's been around for 25 years almost. But I think at this time they will attack. I didn't like what Jose Mourinho said when Fenerbahce was eliminated in the early stages of the Champions League playoff, when he said something like, we weren't going to win the Champions League anyway. So, but I was like, so what? But that couldn't be the argument just to justify an early exit, But still, Fenerbahce this season, they've got how many? 13 points, which is all right, but Galatasaray is already a little bit far off. They've got the top scorer of the league, 𝐬𝐭𝐴, 5 goals, by the way. 𝐬𝐭𝐴 to score is 2.0. From all the individual markets that I can choose in this show, that's my favorite, probably. Dusan Tadic has scored 3 goals. 𝐬𝐵AKOvic has produced 4 clean sheets. So, when the game has been good for Fenerbahce, they have won comfortably, as the numbers tell. So I'm going to go in that direction. I think that they can win this comfortably. Fenerbahce to win and over 1.5 goals, 190.
Is this a Mourinho-style team, Alain, or still work in progress?
Yes, direct football. The problem is the team of Mourinho build his success about the defense. And the defense against Galatasaray was really far about the Mourinho's team needed to build a strong offensive phase. Now, Mourinho have player to make the difference, because he never rely of the midfield, and in attack he has experience, he has a lot of talent. Now I am curious to see something more, because against Galatasaray Fenerbahce create. I think that the 1-3 for Galata doesn't respect the synopsis of the game. There must to score more. I wanna watch more in the series in the field. If 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐽, maybe this team need that type of fantasy, about the number 10 Turkish. Union Saint-Gilloise, what happened during the summer? They lose 45 goals because they sold Cameron Puertas, Amura, and Nilsson, and both players means 45 goals last season. And that one to go to found immediately player can give you that average of goal without the budget is difficult, and we must to be patient with Union Saint-Gilloise. But who is not patient is Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce need to win. I think Fenerbahce is really favorite for this game. For that reason, I choose like Alvaro. Fenerbahce winning odds 1.70.
Okay, most of our audience are also going for Fenerbahce to win. This is a very Turkish show. So let's talk about the other Turkish team, Besiktas, playing in Amsterdam, Ajax Besiktas. We were talking before about 𝐿·Immobile. He scored the winner at the weekend in the very last minute. Both teams are coming from the Europa League preview. In this case, Besiktas had to beat Lugano, and Ajax, since they had a really poor season, the previous one, they had to beat 3 teams to be in the group stages, even Panathinaikos. For instance, Alain, do you like this Besiktas with Van Bronckhorst on the bench, by the way?
Yes, they start really, really well, because they're past the playoff in Europa League, and they win 5-0 in Super Cup against Galatasaray. For Besiktas fans, it means a lot. And you can't start better your new project winning against Galatasaray in a Super Cup, is a title, 5-0. And I think that the market of Besiktas is really interesting. Last season, Besiktas made a really bad season. A really bad season in the content, in the table, but they won the Turkish Cup. And that one gives to the team that possibility to stay in Europe. Now, during the summer, they moved really, really well. I think Rafa Silva, João Mario, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, Gabriel Paulista, that player in Turkey made the difference. Make the difference from the beginning. From the beginning, we saw that. Now, against Ajax is always difficult at the beginning of the season predict which type of season will be do Ajax. The summer in Ajax are always really, really move. They move a lot of players. They lose 3, 4, 5 players, or his strongest player during the summer is always, and it's difficult to build something with continuity. But in spite of that, is a team with a wonderful former trainer. Every season we have 6, 7, 8 young players start to the first team. But in spite of that, I think Besiktas can catch a positive results in Ajax. Is the best moment. Besiktas played 3 times against Ajax in Amsterdam. 3 times they lose. This year, I think that is different. I don't agree the odds, and I choose the double opportunity X2 odds 1.94.
All right, many people are going for goals in this game, both teams to score. Seems on the table, Alvaro, Ajax had a slow start, 7 points, but of course not as bad as last season when they were awful in the first half of the season. They were in relegation spots.
Yeah, they were. Obviously, they have improved over the last 12 months. They were never going to get relegated, no, because it's already 69 straight seasons that they are in the Dutch top flight. But still, I think that what they did in summer 2023, so 15 months ago, is still reverberating these days, to the point that this summer they couldn't spend a lot of money because the investment had been done and it wasn't a good investment. In fact, this summer they got themselves, to be more precise, 𝐻𝐿𝐴, who came on a free, and Wout Weghorst, who played for Burnley, and I think they didn't pay more than 3 million for him. Really, it's true that they got only 7 points in the league. They are in the middle of the table, but they have played way less fixtures than the rest of the teams for calendar reasons and all that. But still, they got a manager that did very well in France, getting a 45% win ratio, which is good. Ajax is here a little bit by chance, because at the end of the day, 34 penalties were needed to untie their game against Panathinaikos in summer. But still, I think that this game is going to be very interesting. I love the goals market, in fact. Over 2.5 goals, 175. And I agree with Alain. I think that Besiktas got themselves a few players that are very good. And getting Rafa Silva on a free is a very clever piece of business, because, you know, as Besiktas, you have to check which big player is running out of his contract, and you have to contact the player and make sure that you get the job done in between the lines and behind the scenes. So that was a clever piece of business, in my opinion, because Rafa Silva is still in his prime. I think he's 29, 30 years old. João Mario, Immobile are there. Gabriel Paulista, yes, he's a defender that every now and then has a mistake in him, but, you know, he is a competent defender too. And Ciro Immobile is scoring goals as well, 4 goals already this season. So, you know, this is tricky for Ajax. It's difficult for Ajax. But rather than going for the full-time market, maybe I prefer to go for the over 2.5 goals, because I think that the money is good enough, 175.
We won't see Besiktas Lazio, by the way, in this group stage. So Immobile won't return to the Olympico just yet. And talking about the Olympico, Roma Athletic, great game, probably the best on paper in this first match day. Roma playing European finals lately, and they have a new project. They had shocking news last week because De Rossi was sacked. They hired 𝐬𝐿𝐴, I would say low profile, middle profile manager coming from Torino, and they got themselves the first win of the season, 3-0. 𝗀𝗵𝗍𝐿 score again for the second consecutive game, even if he missed so many chances. In Genoa, Dybala is playing great, but they are facing a good Athletic. Alvaro, Marcelino was saying that he cannot remember when was the last time he won 3 La Liga games in 1 week. So very positive
Valverde.
week for
Valverde.
Sorry, Valverde. Yeah. So very positive week for Athletic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I think that they won the winnables, right? And this is basically what puts you up there with options to fight to qualify for Europe again. Look, this season in Bilbao is considered maybe the last season of Nico Williams. And the final of this competition is in San Mamés. And I think that there will be a growing feeling that maybe that could be the perfect epilogue for a footballer who has given us so much, like Nico Williams. Athletic Bilbao is working very well. They have added some extra depth to the squad with the likes of Alvaro and Alain, a footballer who this weekend, by the way, scored. They've got a striker that goes very unspoken about. He's a little bit of an unsung hero, or he's on his way to becoming that. 𝗀𝗻𝐿𝐴, a striker who more or less he's in the Iñaki Williams scoring numbers as well, in that ratio, and it's quite decent. And, the firepower is there. Then Athletic Bilbao can play Berenguer from the bench, and I believe that maybe against Roma he can play here as well, also because he has experience, or he had experience in Italy with Torino, and that can be good for Athletic Bilbao. But, I think that Athletic right now has a solid project with a very good manager like Ernesto Valverde, where Roma has possibly better players than Athletic Bilbao, but on the other hand, a new manager who is still adapting. Roma is 10th in the Serie A. The results are coming and going. Sometimes are good, sometimes are bad. I think that Athletic Bilbao right now, I will say that at least they've got more clear ideas what they want to do. That's why my bet is going to be perhaps too positive with them, but I do believe that they can grind out here. Look, Athletic Bilbao to score over 0.5 goals here, pays 153, and Athletic is scoring a decent amount of goals in the league, even though, don't forget, they couldn't score against Atlético de Madrid, which can be similar level to Roma. I think that better, Atletico, but still. But I think that Athletic can score. So both teams to score could be 191. Athletic has had in their history 9 trips to Italy. They only got 1 win, yes, it's true, but some draws felt like victories. 1-1 with Juve in 98, another draw with Napoli in 2014 in the Champions League qualifier, a win to Sampdoria in 97, and I think that they can get something from here. But I'm going to go for both teams to score 191. And let's not forget that Dobic, yes, he's scoring, but last season he couldn't score against Athletic Bilbao. Vivian kept him at bay. I really hope that this happens this time.
Well, he's scoring and missing so many chances. Roma lost to Leverkusen the last home game at the Olympico, but in the Europa League, in the last 30 games, only 3 home defeats. Alvaro, 2 of them against Spanish opposition, Villarreal and Betis. The other one being Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso, so there is some Spanish touch also there. Alain, were you shocked by the news of De Rossi being sacked so early in the season?
But no, in the Roma, I am never shocked. Roma is like that. Roma is passion. Roma is intense. We don't know what happened inside the club. In my opinion, 𝐬𝐿𝐴 is a very good option because Roma is built to play with 3 central defense, and the squad that have a lot of quality. Except a substitute for 𝗀𝗵𝗍𝐿, every position have 2 players with a lot of quality. There are a lot of young players like Baldanzi, like Soule, like 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲. Now 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 is his opportunity. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 worked the last 10 years with team to try to catch a European spot, but it was not the objective, it was not mandatory. He worked well in Verona, he worked well in Torino. Now he must to work better to go to champions with this Roma, because I think the squad is for going to champions and do a very good paper in Europa League. The first game yesterday was positive. We saw some concept about the football of 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, really direct, with a lot of energy, attack really well the space. We saw 𝐬𝐵IC score his first goal in Olympiacos, his unlock himself. Only positive things. After a really difficult week, Roma is white to black and black to white in a moment. And right now, I think they enter in the positive way, and it's a Champions League game, in my opinion. And like Alvaro, I choose both teams to score, because both teams have the powder to score. Odds 1.91.
All right, Chinonso is also going for both teams to score. Intrepid is telling us, I don't trust Roma, and Murat is going for goals in the second half. Great game, this Roma Athletic. And if you think Roma are madness, Alain, explain me what is going on with Olympique Lyon. Next game is Lyon Olympiacos, only 4 points in the start of the season, and we saw something crazy against Olympique Marseille. They played the whole game with one player more. Olympique Marseille had a red card in the first 5 minutes. They take the lead. Olympique Marseille are able to come back. Lyon score in the 90, and then Olympique Marseille score a banger, a great winner in the very last minute. Their only win this season was another crazy game against Strasbourg, 4-3. So it's impossible to trust this Lyon, even with these odds 1.95, probably too low.
Yes, but the potential is really high in Lyon. Now there's such a balance. The beginning of the season are really bad. In the last 2 seasons against Marseille, it was a strange game, because the team doesn't play bad, especially in the creation. The team create a lot of occasion, but you must to score and to be a little more clinical without the ball. And I think the problem is now is without the ball, Lyon, because it is really offensive. That there have a lot of talent. If you check and make the list about the single player, Lyon is a team must to fight for the champions in France. And now the beginning of the season are negative, but they have the possibility to start this season against Olympiacos, because Europe is important in Lyon, very important. They're back to Europe after 2 seasons against a team start not so bad, but in the last 2 games we start to make question about Mendilibar. Be manager in Olympiacos is one of the most difficult job in Europe, because Marianakis don't know the word passion, and it's not important they won the Conference League. They lose the Greek champion the last season, and that one is heavy. And we must to understand if Mendilibar has a problem with his vestiary, because especially in the game against Panathinaikos, without the goal after the lose in Salonika against Aris, 1 point in 2 games. And in Olympiacos is like Roma, is like Alvaro known better than me. When the things start to be bad, you enter in that negative spiral is dangerous. And I think they enter in that negative spiral, because In Salonique against Aris, I don't see a reaction. For that reason, I think Lyon will be win this game. Odds 1.95.
𝐿𝐿𝐵𝐿 scored, by the way, in that game in Thessaloniki, the hero of the conference. We all remember this team coached by Mendilibar, Europa League winner with Sevilla. Álvaro, all due respect with Professor Mendilibar.
Yeah. I think Mendilibar has had closing to his coaching career that he would have never expected, just winning 2 European trophies. But life is like this, and you can only be happy with a man who has always been quite nice. But the job at Olympiacos, Alain, is spot on. I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, last summer, in summer 2023, Olympiacos interviewed 3 different managers. Finally, they chose one. That manager didn't last. They brought in Mendilibar. And, it's the story of Marinakis. It's the story of a man who has a little bit of a megalomaniac attitude about life and things. And in Greece, it works very well. In England, it's sometimes difficult to understand what he wants to do. But last week in England, Marinakis said that his aspiration is to get Nottingham Forest to have a 50,000 capacity ground. And this is him. He goes for the big projects. And in Olympiacos, if he sees that the team doesn't win the local league, which for Olympiacos should be a little bit of a given, considering that they've got the financial power that other sides don't have, then he changes the manager. But the thing is that Olympiacos, the problem is that they have so many players coming and going that at the end it's very difficult just to solidify one sporting cycle. Look, when the Conference League final finished last year with Olympiacos being crowned, they won in Athens, by the way, the final. Iborra said that he wanted to leave, just literally at the end of the final, because he wanted to help Levante go up to the Spanish top flight. 𝐻𝐞𝐿 left, 𝐬𝐵𝐴𝐺𝐻 left, El Arabi left, Podence left again to Wolverhampton Wanderers because he was on loan. Andre Horta left as well. And you start just adding up names and names and names and names. And you see that Mendilibar this season is working with a totally different squad to the squad he had last year. And this applies as well to the Nottingham Forest manager Nuno, and to a bigger extent to Steve Cooper 2 years ago when he just got promoted with Nottingham Forest. It's difficult to have an owner like Marinakis, but every now and then he creates a good squad for you, and if you're a good manager like Mendilibar last season, you profit it. I think that the additions of Willian and Dani Garcia and Yaremchuk are gonna... Dani Garcia, by the way, former Athletic Bilbao footballer, will offer experience to Olympiacos. But I also think that Lyon has a chance of getting here something. Lyon has been very poor so far, 11 goals conceded in 5 games. I haven't watched all the games, obviously, but the numbers don't lie. And Monaco and Marseille beat them, scoring 5 goals in the process. All that said, I think that both teams have deficiencies, but also talent. So I'm going to back the goals market over 2.25 goals, which last season, let's be fair, in the Europa League, we saw a lot of goals. I think that it can happen. Over 2.25 goals, 180.
Well, we have Nova or Malik going for goals for Olympiacos or for Lyon. So a good option for this game is going for goals. And last one, perhaps we see goals, perhaps we see a big result for Tottenham is Tottenham Karabakh. I found the link between these two teams because I was checking a last Europa League game for Tottenham was against Dynamo Zagreb, that defeat 3-0 that no one expected, with Orsic scoring a hat-trick in 2021, and Karabakh lost to Dynamo Zagreb in the Champions League playoff after beating Ludogorets 7-2, one of the craziest games of the summer. I guess we should expect goals galore for Tottenham. Álvaro, are you liking this Postecoglou second season? There are some doubts also because last year they didn't finish well the season and they won at the weekend, but there are question marks apart from the quality of James Maddison. Of course, there is no doubt about it.
Well, James Maddison scored in the weekend, against Brentford. Tottenham, of course. James Maddison, look, he is very important for Spurs and he should be more important. But, I'm going to go to details and then I go to the more general analysis. But at the Spurs, there are 2 players who are, in my opinion, is slightly out of position. One of them is James Maddison. He plays too deep, and we know that James Maddison is great when he is in the perimeter. of the box, and the other player is 𝗀𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, playing as a midfielder. I think that goes against him. He should be playing as a winger, because maybe the best thing that 𝗀𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 has is that cross to the second post, or at least in his Spurs career, this has been his trademark move. And with Postecoglou, he's not playing exactly there, and that goes against Spurs, I believe. But I think that the Spurs are favourite here, obviously. It was very soothing and cathartic, the win against Brentford, because they needed that, and it was the first goal for Brennan Johnson this season, the first ever one for 𝐬𝐵𝐺𝐵𝐻𝐿 Solanke, wearing the shirt of Spurs. So, it was an important win for a team that has depth. In my opinion, they finished 5th last season, and that is exactly their level. Sometimes we forget that at the end of the day, tables makes sense. I mean, if Tottenham finished 5th and Liverpool finished 3rd, it's also for a reason. I think that ultimately a team more or less gets what they deserve. And I am totally aware of Postecoglou's statement last week saying that he always has won trophies in his second season in clubs. And it's true, he did it in Australia and he did it in Scotland, always in his second season. But there are two realities here. The reality of Ange Postecoglou's storyline and CV, and the reality of Tottenham, and they haven't won a trophy since 2008. So I don't know which of these two forces are going to end up imposing. Either Spurs winning a trophy finally, or Postecoglou delivering trophies in his second season again and again and again. A tough one to bet, because Tottenham winning pays nothing. Tottenham to win and over 2.5 goals doesn't pay much more than a safe bet, around 150, 155. I will go to the individual market, wait until you see the lineup, but Son to score looks to me like a good one. It pays 180. He didn't score the other day, so maybe Postecoglou will keep him on the pitch until he scores. Son to score 180. Otherwise, I will go for something which is sometimes slightly speculative, but I believe that it will happen. The half with more goals in the game to be the second half. That pays 185.
Well, last year, Alain, or last season, Karabakh was this close to surprise us and end the Leverkusen run of non-losing. They were 2-0 up until the very last minute.
It's a beautiful project. It's probably the older manager in his bench of this Europa League. Gurbanov is in the bench with Karabakh since 2008. And the project of Karabakh is so interesting, because Gurbanov is not only the manager, he's the architect about the mentality and the philosophy of football of Karabakh. He went to Barcelona to study the 𝗵𝐺𝐴 when they formed the player. And in the last 10 years, we see an increasement. Karabakh win against important team in Europe in the last 10 years. And I don't know where is the limit, because maybe it's the national player a little the limit to grow to have more stability in Champions League. Both teams played in the 2015. I remember it because I commented the game for the Spanish television, and Karabakh in White Hart Lane, Tottenham played in White Hart Lane, start winning, score first after they lose 3-1 that game. Respect to this Karabakh, I think the team acquire experience. There are players to score against this Tottenham. Benzia is a very good player. Juninho, the ex-player from Chaves second division in Portugal, scored 20 goals last season in his local league. Zubir is a player with a lot of fantasy. Me too, like Alvaro, I have some difficulty to check or search or found a odds interesting. I choose Karabakh 2 with handicap more 2.25, odds 1.78.
Okay, they don't get thrashed. They don't lose by more than 2 goals margin. Last season, again, they took the advantage twice against Leverkusen, both at home and away, leading 2-0. They ended up losing that tie, but they were this close to give us the surprise of the season. We have some comments. Intrepid going for Karabakh to score at least 1 goal. Dukes going for corners, for Tottenham for corners. Tony, Tottenham to win 2-0, and Trippy Tottenham to win plus over 1.5 goals. The odds for Tottenham to win are so low, so we have to find combinations if we want to find some value. Well, a lot of good games this week in the Europa League. I find this format more interesting, I have to say, of the Europa League this season. Let's see when the weeks go and if we see the last match days, also a lot of interesting games. Let's finish the video with safe bets, Alain.
Safe bet, the Roma Athletic over 175 goals, odds 1.41.
Alvaro.
Frankfurt to win, 144.
And let's finish the video, ACCA, Alvaro.
Yeah, it will be Frankfurt to win, Fenerbahce to win, Athletic Club Bilbao to score over 0.5 goals against Roma. Altogether 356.
Eintracht Frankfurt playing at home against Victoria Pilsen, having a good start of the season in the Bundesliga. Alain, Yoraka?
Galatasaray over 275 goals, Nice, Real Sociedad over 175 goals, Lyon winning and Fenerbahce winning for a total 8.89.
Ambitious Alain Valnegri with his ACCA. Thank you, Alvaro. Thank you, Alain. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.